What's up and welcome, Whisper Nation, to the Tuesday Waiver Wire Show with your boy, Johnny Game Time Hicks and the Fantasy Whisperers. We're going to be talking about Ronald Jones. We're going to talk about all those other waiver wire guys that you're going to want to put a waiver wire out for, because not only can they help you win this week, but they could help you get that championship that we're wanting so badly. Just 2 more weeks. Well, a week and some game, 2 more weeks and a couple of games. We still got the couple of games tonight, Philadelphia Eagles and Washington. We also got the Seattle Seahawks and the Rams tonight. So it's a little bit wonky, but it's all right. Tune in. Appreciate you stopping by. Let me know if you have a specific question. I can answer those. But you already know what to do, Whisper Nation. If you're stopping in, checking out this video, you could do me a huge favor. Give it a thumbs up. Give us a like. We're trying to get to 50 likes. 50 likes on this stream. Let's do it. You won't. And also subscribe if you are new to the channel. Put out fantasy football content daily. Do streams. Do DFS lineups. We do it all here. We just like to have fun. We like to keep that week 1 feeling going all season long. And as always, if you want to hit me with that super chat, you won't get a woo from not only me, but Whisper Nation. So as always, like I mentioned, this is the Waiver Wire Show. So let's get into it.
Right here.
All right, Whisper Nation, you know the drill. You know the deal. It is the Waiver Wire Show on Tuesday. We're going to be giving you guys players that you need to pick up if you're still in it. You're still alive. You won. You hung on. You survived all the nastiness that was this week. Your players didn't bust on you like mine did, like Tom Brady, Gronk, all the steady eddies that we've been relying on this year. Renfro just not doing well this past week. But if you survived all that, I'm going to give you some guys that you can definitely pick up. Some running backs, some wide receivers. Talk about defenses because that's a strategic move there. I'll give you some quarterbacks to keep. They're the usual suspects, though. And I could potentially bring up some tight ends as well. But make sure you're tuning in. You're sticking around, hitting that thumbs up for me. Really helps get my confidence up. Going solo today, as you could tell. If not by now you know. But we'll jump right in. We won't let anything slow us down on this live stream. Just want to say what's up to everyone who is tuning in right now. Appreciate you guys. Gus Ramos, Ronald. Appreciate you guys. Oh, nice. Ronald. Getting Ronald last week. Well, we're going to talk about Ronald right now. We're going to bring up, remember, I want to remind people that when we talk about these players, we try to get under 50% rostered. A couple of the players that we're going to talk about today are a little bit over 50%, but I want you guys to check them in your league, see if they're available. They might be. And guess what? With people and teams going out, they've been out of it for a few weeks now, but now it's getting more and more diluted as far as the teams that are competing for these waiver wire targets. So it behooves you to go and try to look to see if they're available. Potentially even if you don't need these players, just pick them up so they don't get played against you. That's another part of this game that we don't talk about enough, is the strategy of preventing your opponents from picking up some of these players. So without further ado, we will jump into these waiver wires. I just want to comment on a couple of big news stories that came out or that have come out in the last 24 or 40 hours or so. So we can touch on that, and then we'll dive into these waiver wires. I just want to get this out of the way. Unlikely that Tyler Lockett clears the COVID protocol by the game today. So make sure that you adjust your lineup accordingly. Get him out if you're relying on him. Maybe luckily you're able to pivot into some other directions because of the ability to have 4 teams playing today. So I do think that you can pivot if you need to. In some cases, there might be some players available for you if you're banking on Tyler Lockett. We try to warn people about the potential that Tyler Lockett might not clear in time to make plans otherwise. But if you have him in your lineup, you're going to want to look elsewhere for that. Another news. Elijah Mitchell's knee issue has taken, quote unquote, a positive turn, and he'll be a game night decision come Thursday. This is big news because Mitchell is out of concussion protocol. His knee injury has been what has kept him out, But if he does play on Thursday, then he is going to be someone that you're going to want to get in your lineup. He has been very, very beneficial for your fantasy lineups and rosters this year when playing. So just want to mention that. I also wanted to mention that Chris Godwin, it was official. They were hopeful that he didn't tear his ACL. He is out for the rest of the season. So that is, if you have Chris Godwin, you were making it through. He was a big part of a lot of rosters. He is now out for the rest of the season. Make plans accordingly. You'll see in just a second when we get to the wide receivers. I did put one guy on here that is over 50% roster. But again, we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about some other potential options there for Tampa Bay. So without further ado, that was the news. Catching you up. Ronald Jones, Mike Evans also have hamstring issues. So that's something to also monitor as we go down this stretch. All right, let's jump into some of these waiver wire guys here. And I'm going to bring up this slide here. Top waiver wire ads for the running back position. Again, we try to get over 50, under 50% rostered on these players. So again, if some of the higher rostered running backs are available, you might want to go and pick them up. Not saying you have to, but these are the guys for sure that I'm looking at this week if I'm still in that hunt for that championship. Not only, like I said, pick them up on my team if I need a player, a running back. I have options now. And even if I don't need a running back, but I have an option, a spot, I might pick up one of these guys if I have a waiver wire priority just to keep them away from an opponent that I could potentially face this week or next. So number one on this list comes in at Ronald Jones. No surprise here, 42% roster. That is a little bit of a surprise, but Ronald Jones is a guy that you are going to want to pick up because we know that Tampa Bay has lost quite a few wide receivers now. They've lost playoff Lenny to a hamstring. Hamstrings are finicky. You can think that they're, 100%. You go out and play, you re-aggravated it, back to square one. Hamstrings are no joke. We talked about how there's some interesting correlations between hamstring and kind of concussion. Obviously, one's a brain, one's a muscle issue. But I'm just saying, as far as length of time out, we're seeing some very similar trends there. So I do think that with Uncle Lenny sideline, possibly for the next 3 weeks, we'll see if he comes back for the playoffs. I would expect them kind of shut him down, especially if Ronald Jones could carry the load over the next few weeks for him, which I definitely think that he can do. He's looked explosive when given the opportunity. He's also fighting for a contract. He is a free agent. So he could potentially be trying out for other teams right now, which is something else that I like. They have pretty easy matchups coming up. So I like the playoff schedule that's coming down the stretch. So I do really think that Ronald Jones is a guy that you could potentially pick up, and he is going to be a guy that is going to help win people championships. Or if you're trying to avoid, a Sacco Bowl or last place, Ronald Jones is a guy you're going to be able to plug and play as an RB2 low end with the high end of an RB1, depending on touchdowns and whatnot. But I do think that Ronald Jones is someone that you should definitely be going after. Everyone should be going after Ronald Jones if he is available. And again, available on 42% of leagues. So there's a good chance that he is available. I liked what our boy Gus coming in saying he had grabbed Ronald Jones last week. That was a smart move. All right, second running back here, Justin Jackson for the LA Chargers. 9% rostered, not, more readily available than Ronald Jones. But here's the deal with Justin Jackson. Obviously, not as much upside with Justin Jackson, simply for the fact that you have, Austin Eckler is still on this, he's not shut down, right? He's not on IR. He is dealing with an ankle injury. But Justin Jackson, there's no guarantee that he would necessarily 100% be the guy. I that's the other reason why I'm not so high on him on this list, is because we're only going off of basically what we've seen in the limited action. And in that limited action, Justin Jackson and Kelly have been somewhat splitting the workload. But again, when you look at the schedule the Chargers have, the tendency of them having to throw, it bodes better for Justin Jackson than Kelly, simply because Kelly is just getting the groundwork. He's not active much in the passing game. So Justin Jackson is a guy that I am definitely picking up, because if we do end up hearing anything where they have to shut down Eckler for a few weeks, this is a guy that I think will be a nice plug and play for you. Has upside, obviously, on a very potent and nice offense that can move the ball. So Justin Jackson is a running back that I'll be looking at for a little fill-in if you need it. All right, next up on this is Samaje Perine, running back. He's been on here a couple of times, 18% rostered. Main thing here to watch out for, obviously, he's been getting the bulk of the carries when it's been him and Joe Mixon splitting, and Joe Mixon kind of getting a little bit banged up in these games. You see Samaje Perine be that guy that they like to fill in. Chris Evans not really being the rookie that could overcome or supplant Samaje, and they're still in the hunt. So it's not necessarily a situation where they're kind of dart throwing and seeing what do they have in their pieces because they're out of it. They still need to win these games. So when you have players like that or teams like that, you generally will look at what they've been doing when Joe Mixon hasn't been in the game, or when they've had to kind of scroll back his workload. It has been Samaje. Samaje is a guy that you can plug and play. He's not going to quite give you that ceiling that Joe Mixon would give you on a week-to-week basis, but he does have that RB2, RB3 flex people. Yeah, you should get them just to block. Ronald is saying, yes, I agree. That's a big move when it comes to fantasy football playoffs, is blocking your opponent. So Samaje Perine, if you've got Joe Mixon, you definitely should be handcuffing Samaje Perine. You should have done this a couple of weeks ago, but it's okay. He's still available. You could still go out and get him. And so Samaje Perine definitely is someone I'm looking for if I have Joe Mixon. If I don't have Joe Mixon, and I do need a plug and play, again, he comes third on this list. He'd probably be more like fourth for me. I'll talk about who would probably be number 2 on this list for me in just a second. Jordan Howard coming in on here, 19% rostered. This is just also something to monitor. As the Philadelphia Eagles, we do know that backfield situation is a little bit banged up. We'll see more today. Obviously, we'll know a little bit. The Ronald Jones or the Jordan Howard one, the thing that I want to put on him on this list for right now, Eagles have not played, right? I just told you that Jordan Howard is only rostered on 19% of leagues. So because the Eagles haven't played yet today, you can actually go pick him up right now, stash him on your bench for this game. If anything does happen, even to extend that injury for Sanders, you could look for Jordan Howard to become that plug and play RB there as the Philadelphia Eagles continue to hand the ball off and run, and that game plan continues to work. And you're looking at the Philadelphia Eagles again, are a team that is trying to chase and trying to get into the playoffs. It's an outsider's chance, but they still have a shot. So with that, you like the game script that they would continue to go with what has been working for them over the last few years. Jordan Howard is a guy that you can actually go and pick up right now as we speak, because this game has not played yet. All right. It's a nice little free stash there, free dart throw stash for Jordan Howard. That's why I like to bring him up. Craig Reynolds comes on this list last, but again, he would be my number 2 waiver wire priority for me this week. Detroit Lions running back. He has officially signed a contract. He performed well against Arizona. Not a huge surprise there, because Arizona is susceptible to the running back position. Now it is a little wild that the Detroit Lions came and did to the Arizona Cardinals what we saw. They basically destroyed them. They took them to the barn in the back and showed them what's the business. So because of that, you got to see Ronald. I almost keep wanting to say Ronald Jones, but you got to see Reynolds really get an opportunity, and he ran with it, and as a result, he is going to get more playing time. And as a result, too, I think that they could potentially shut down Deandre Swift. Sad news. I hope that's not the case. I hope they try to get him back. But again, where this Detroit Lions team is right now, and they're not really in the hunt for anything. They're on a 2-game win streak. It's just moral there. So I think with that, I think that they continue to, you have Hawkinson on IR. I think they keep sitting out Deandre Swift because what is the purpose now on bringing him back? I think if they were going to bring him back, it could have been potentially last week, or if we saw Reynolds struggle or that run game struggle, then it could have been a bigger discussion for bringing Swift back this season. But because of what we're seeing so far, I don't know that I expect Swift to come back, unfortunately, this year. All right. Now we're going to switch over to some wide receivers that if you need some help at the wide receiver, which, listen, we all do because it's a week-to-week kind of thing. And with all the COVID cases coming out, you might really have to dig deep for these guys. You might really have to really consider, hey, do I start this wide receiver? And yesterday during the live, there were some questions about some of these wide receivers, and I didn't feel real confident in playing some of them. However, facts are facts. What we see is, we like to bank on what we know, right? Especially in the playoffs. And what we saw was Amon St. Brown come out and absolutely continue to be on this hot streak heater. Amon has seen 24 targets in the last 3 games. He comes in number 1 on this list, roster on just 35% of sleeper leagues. Listen, I understand it's scary. I understand it's the Detroit Lions, but I like to go with the targets here. 24 targets, 18 catches, 159 receiving yards, and a touchdown in the last 2 games. He's seeing over a 24% market share for his team. Detroit Lions, you expect them to be down in a lot of games, but even when they were up, they continued to throw the ball against the Cardinals. They've got a really nice schedule moving forward. So I do think Amon St. Brown is a guy that you can definitely be plugging in your lineup. You can count on him. Now we've seen what the upside is, right? We know that Detroit moving the ball a little bit more. He's having that trust in Jared Goff. So again, with no Hawkinson rest of the season, likely without Swift rest of season, targets really opening up. There's not a whole lot of other options there. So I do think that you can continue to go out and stream Amon St. Brown. Love all the questions. Appreciate all the questions. I will get to them shortly. So hang tight. Hang with me. Hit that like while you're, jumping in here. Hit that like for me. That would be a huge favor. And then again, hit that subscribe if you're new. You won't. All right. Gabriel Davis comes in number 2 on this list for the Buffalo Bills, wide receiver, 21% rostered. Gabriel Davis, we brought him up a few times on the show. We weren't really sure if we can bank on the usage there. They've got, Cole Beasley there, Emmanuel Sanders, or they had Emmanuel Sanders, obviously Diggs, number 1 option there. So we weren't really sure if we can bank on Gabe Davis as a guy that we would fit into our lineup or be able to count on from a week-to-week basis. But what we're seeing him do with Josh Allen, without Emmanuel Sanders, he's really filling in as that number 2 option for us. You like the concentrated targets that he's seeing. You like the fact, Diggs is drawing the double team, which doesn't surprise anyone here. But as a result, you've seen Gabe Davis put together a couple of weeks now. You saw him get in the end zone twice. Now, do I think you should chase those points and expect those points next week? Probably not. But again, he's a very high upside play on an offense that is going to throw the ball quite a bit. Sign me up for Gabe Davis. All right. Next up on this, Russell Gage, 54% roster. Again, a couple of these next 3 wide receivers over 50%. I did want to touch on them and remind you guys, hey, these guys would be my waiver wire pickups if available, simply because it's pretty thin this week as far as pickups and over 50% roster ability. But again, if these guys are available, you can plug in and play. Russell Gage coming in, he is seeing the target share, the target lead for this. You saw him bring down some catches. I'll tell you, they started moving him out to the wide receiver 1, that X spot, and he has been producing. He's seeing over 10 targets. He's catching. He's going up and catching over DBs, some things that I really didn't think he had in his toolbox or his tool belt, and he's bringing them to the plate. So I continue to see, with as many injuries that we are seeing with Atlanta and across the league, you've got Cordell Patterson somewhat slowing down a little bit, right? He seems to be a little bit dinged up and still dealing with that high ankle sprain. And as a result, Gabe Davis continues to be a very solid play for you. Unfortunately, I wasn't really confident in Gabe Davis on Sunday, but he ended up coming through. So Gabe Davis is someone, or sorry, not Russell Gage, excuse me, is a guy that I think that you can trust as a flex moving forward. All right, next one on this list. I want to throw this out there. Listen, I understand he's mostly owned. 73% of leagues already have Antonio Brown on a roster. But in the 27% of leagues that don't have him on your roster, look for him. Maybe that's one of your leagues. Hopefully it is, because if it is, go pick him up. He is. We got the Chris Godwin out for rest of season. You've got Mike Evans, who is banged up, dealing with a hamstring. Will he miss time? I don't know. Mike Evans generally will come back and play through this. It's, what he kind of does. But again, he isn't that type of receiver. He's a go up and get it type of receiver. Whereas Antonio Brown now coming back is going to step in to that Chris Godwin role. We already know how much Tom Brady liked him before. He's going to probably like him even more now, because he's going to be on the field much more. He is a guy that can get open at will against any corner. Now you're putting him in the slot against a slot corner. So I do think that Antonio Brown over these next couple of weeks, especially due to the fact that we have injuries, you also have the fact that Bruce Arians came back. I know there was the whole rumor and speculation, Antonio Brown could get dropped and he's a cut candidate, and I don't know if he's coming back. And, this puts him over, what BA said that he would tolerate. Well, let me tell you what BA tolerates: winning. And what he doesn't tolerate is losing. And guess what? Now with these injuries, he's already said, hey, the situation's different for us now. Situation isn't what it was before. We've got injuries. We need players. So Antonio Brown, I expect him back. I've expected him back for a couple weeks now, because I just didn't think that they would cut that kind of talent. They need it. They want to repeat. They think this is the year, and they need to go for it. So Antonio Brown comes in on this list. I just want to throw him out there because he would be, honestly, it's probably, unless you need a running back, which that's hard. I mean, most teams do. AB might be my number 1/number 2. I would go Ronald Jones at number 1 if he's available in your league, because running backs are harder to come by. Number 2 would be AB, or the 1/B for me would be Antonio Brown, just because the schedule coming up is pretty solid. I mean, Carolina, they don't scare you as much as they did, and then you get the Jets. So absolutely 2 great matchups for Antonio Brown in the playoffs. The other, I didn't put him on here, but I will make Tyler Johnson also plays for Tampa Bay. You could see him get a slight uptick in targets as well, or playing time. Continue to monitor that. He's been somewhat filling in for Antonio Brown. I think he'll continue to do that. All right, the last player on here, Devontae Parker, rostered on 59% of sleeper leagues. Again, he is a guy that we've talked about for a few weeks now. We knew he was coming back. There was the concern with, Tua and Waddle having there, and could Tua produce more than one fantasy option? Well, we got that this past weekend, because Waddle out. We know Waddle's going to be out because he was put on the IR. So again, we'll keep monitoring that. If Waddle does end up coming back, because I'm pretty sure it was COVID. I have to double check that now, because there's been so many COVID cases, and I get them mixed up for who is on COVID for injury, and then who is on there. Yeah, so Waddle is on the COVID list. So continue to monitor that. Again, if I knew that Waddle was going to be out longer, then I would say that Parker is a little bit higher of a priority for me, because he would be the one option there. Once Waddle comes back, I expect Waddle to regain that target market share there. He's going to be the guy that I will continue to want. And I don't know if Tua can necessarily support 2 wide receivers, startable wide receivers there anyway. So that is why I would have Parker down there. Our guy, P Kid, what's going on? Everyone showing up. Appreciate you all for joining in today on today's stream. I'll touch on some quarterbacks and defense and tight ends real quick that you can stream for this week. Also, if you're just jumping in here, hit that thumbs up for me. Helps. We're trying to get this to 50 likes. Trying to get to 50 likes, and I'll answer all your questions here just shortly. So hang tight. All right. I am just going to, I don't have a graphic made up for quarterbacks because they're basically the same quarterbacks that we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks. Again, if they're still available on your waiver wire, then these guys would be the same standard quarterbacks that we've been talking about to go pick up. That would be Taysom Hill, still only roster on just 56% of sleeper leagues, continues to be a quarterback that you can roll out and flex if you need that option. Obviously not the best game this past week against Tampa Bay, but that was a dud for everyone involved, basically. But if you look before that, QB3, QB4, QB9, QB7, QB11, QB3, you like where he is at. He's mostly in that top quarterback echelon, especially because he runs the ball so much, although he didn't run it too much against Tampa Bay. The other quarterback, the other two that we'll talk about, Tua continues to be a streamer. He's not super sexy, but he just continues to be a guy that you can plug in and play, and he ends up having a pretty safe floor, a relatively safe ceiling, not a super high ceiling, though, unfortunately for Tua, which is why he would come in at second on this list for me at the quarterback position. And then the third one, just to touch again, Jimmy Garoppolo, San Francisco 49ers. This whole team has such a great playoff schedule that, again, it's not the sexiest pickup. It's not the highest upside pickup for you. But again, it's going to give you some consistency, especially if you are streaming at that position or you need to pick up someone this week because of some COVID injuries, or you just don't like your matchup. That could be the case as well. Wish I would have done that last week with Tom Brady. Went with a different matchup instead of thinking he could outplay it. So sometimes it does pay off. We did see, we also shout out to one of our listeners. They played Huntley over, who did they play Huntley over this past weekend? It was a very bold call, but I think it was Huntley over Dak, bold call, but it worked out. So sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you got to get cute during the fantasy playoffs in order to win. When you go on, it's not always the best roster that or the team that has the sexiest players that wins. Sometimes it's the people who just do the dirty work and get in there and play the right people. All right, tight ends real quick. I'll touch on same guys that we normally talk about: Hunter Henry, Ricky Seals-Jones, and Mercedes Lewis. All three of these guys, Hunter Henry over 58% rostered, but he is the most readily top, I would say, tight end that you should be looking for on your waiver wire if you can get him. I do think he continues to be a plug and play, because this is a reality that tight ends are touchdown. That's what you need, a touchdown. And Hunter Henry is one of the better ones at that. 7 touchdowns as a red zone threat for the Pats, and playing the Colts, who have allowed the 6 he played the Colts and just blew up the Colts. So I again continue to roll out Hunter Henry if need be. Ricky Seals-Jones continues to have a really good fantasy stretch here, fantasy playoff run here. Let's monitor Bates, the other tight end. They've been getting him a little bit more involved. He is a rookie, but Ricky Seals-Jones should get the bulk of the snaps, so you should be able to continue to roll him out. And then Mercedes Lewis, again, Aaron Rodgers getting him a little bit more involved in the red area. So I do think that he becomes a guy that you can also look for if you're in dire needs. All right, I'm going to touch in on these defenses really quick. These are a big part. Defenses win championships, especially in fantasy football, because they can be a huge game changer for you, especially you picked up the Saints last week. You played them. I mean, that would have been risky, but you did. It paid off because they scored 26 fantasy points against Tom Brady. Who would have thought that? But as a result, they are heavily available in fantasy football leagues. 38% of leagues they are available. So New Orleans Saints defense is someone that you should be looking to pick up. Have a good, nice couple of games here rest of season. LA Chargers come in at number 2 on here, 35% rostered. They get a very, very, very favorable matchup coming up here. LA Chargers are against pull up their schedule here really quick. So they get the Texans, Houston this week. You love that. Houston been giving up a lot of fantasy points to defense, and then they get the Broncos next week. So we already know Teddy Bridgewater dealing with that the head injury, not going this week. I would be shocked if he comes back next week. Honestly, that guy, I hope he gets healthy. I really do, because he's been dealing with a whole lot. So I would not be surprised to see Denver sit Bridgewater in week 17. So that gives you some really nice matchups for the LA Chargers over the next few weeks. Philadelphia Eagles, another defense, 43% rostered. You can go pick them up now if they are available. They have not played yet. They are a team, they get Washington today, who has no quarterback. They get the Giants next week, who has no quarterback. Danny Dimes just listed as they're shutting him down for the season. So you get that next week. Then you get Washington the following weekend. So 3 straight games where you can play Philadelphia. I'm playing Philadelphia in a couple leagues tonight. If they have mega balls nights, then your boy might pull out some wacky stuff, come back behind, but I'm not expecting that. But again, the Philadelphia Eagles are a defense that I'm looking at right now. Miami Dolphins, 51%, a little bit over the threshold that we like to talk about. But again, I wanted to throw their name out there, because if they are available in your league, then you should be going out and grabbing them, because they have been very, very good as a fantasy defense. And then you look at the next 2 games that they have on their schedule. They have the Saints and they have the Titans. So yes, Taysom Hill is a quarterback that I would be playing against the Dolphins, just because we know what he gets so many rushing yards. So I think it's safe. But again, even then, Tampa Bay was still able to have a good fantasy day last week, because they were able to get to Taysom. He's susceptible to sacks, things like that earn us fantasy points. So Miami is a defense that I'm looking. And then lastly here, Dallas Cowboys, 57% rostered. They have been a defense that has their upside is just so high. Why? Because they have a lot of ball hawks. They have an offense that scores a lot of fantasy points, or in general, right? They could put up points on teams. So that means that opposing teams in general, have to come back on them, which makes it good for opportunistic defenses like the Dallas Cowboys, who have a lot of playmakers on that defensive side. So they're all about getting towards that ball hawking, turnovers, and they're pretty stout. So that would be probably my favorite defense to pick up, just because they're fun to watch. They score a lot of fantasy points on defensive side of the ball, and you've got a lot of opportunity there with how that team works. So they would be my number 1 to pick up. All right, well, that does it for all of our waiver wire pickups for this show. I will get through the questions now before we end out, but I want to say once again, thank you guys so much for all tuning in to this point. If you have any further questions, hit me in the chat, or you could join our Discord. We have a link in the description below for our Discord channel. That people always asking questions over there, in there, and we hop in there as well and answer some questions. So you won't join the Discord. Hit this thumbs up, give this video a thumbs up, and subscribe as always if you are new to our channel. We greatly appreciate it. Trying to get 2,200 subs. Trying to get through it. All right. Let's get into these questions. Our guys. Ronald saying, I got AB right before the game. There you go. That's smart. Picking them up before. It's always, and for the future, if you're watching this, always try to time these up a week before they happen. That helps you get a nice jump on these waiver wire guys. especially if they're coming back from injuries, kind of keep a nice close monitor, and then jumping onto them a week early is usually a very good game plan. Get ahead of a lot of your opponents that way. Gus asking, should I drop Peoples-Jones for Seattle defense? I have the Bills defense in one of my leagues, but I don't like the matchup against the Pats. My wide receivers are Waddle and Deontay Johnson. Yes, in this case I would, because if again, this is something to monitor. Is Waddle the only other wide or Peoples-Jones the only other wide receiver you have, Gus? Because and even still, to be honest with you and Frank, even if Waddle can't go, I'm confident we can find someone better than Peoples-Jones on your waiver wire. Again, I do think Peoples-Jones almost made this waiver wire column. Again, though, I just don't know how much I trust Cleveland Browns and plugging in one of their wide receivers over the next couple of weeks. I just don't have a lot of confidence in it. So, yeah, Seattle is a team that almost made this list as well. They have some pretty solid matchups. The only unfortunate part about Seattle is you don't feel confident in them getting to the quarterback or creating turnovers, but they have been a very solid defense. So it is worth, and have good matchups. So it is worth streaming if you need to. And this is great. You should get them just to block people. Yep. I've got several defenses I've got like 3 defenses in one league, 2 in another, almost 2 in every single league I was in. I at least had 2 defenses, if not 3, where I was in the playoffs, because it is that big of a momentum changer for your team. Also, it is a big advantage when you can get a defense that puts up some nice points. Do it for 20. What's up? How we doing? Good morning. Would you drop Julio Jones for Jordan Howard? If you need a running back, I would. I'm not, I don't think Julio is going to be a guy that you're going to trust in your lineup anyway. They do have some interesting matchups over the next couple weeks, but again, I don't trust Julio. Yeah. Is he out for sure? Is that what Ronald's saying? He's out for the year. I haven't seen if he has an out for the year, but I definitely would make this, and I would do this move now, 420, before Jordan Howard plays this week. Full PPR tonight: Van Jefferson, McLaurin, Michelle, Miles Sanders, or Rashad Penny. Ask Sleek. Just one. I'm picking one. Ooh, this is a little bit tough. If I'm just picking one in a full PPR, I'm going with Van Jefferson in a full PPR. Because McLaurin, I don't expect to get over 5 targets, and I don't trust the quarterback throwing the ball. So that's the unfortunate spot there. Sony Michel with Henderson, at best is probably a split. Miles Sanders, again, I like his matchup. I like the potential in that game for him. What we've seen over the last few weeks, he's probably got the safest floor, but does he have the highest ceiling? I don't know if he has the highest ceiling. I think Van Jefferson probably has the highest ceiling. But again, if you're like, hey, I just need to make sure I get like 7 fantasy points, I have more confidence that Miles Sanders will get 7 fantasy points over Van Jefferson. But I think that Van Jefferson has a really good game. And I think that Van Jefferson has the ceiling of a 15 or 20 pointer, especially in PPR, whereas I don't know if Miles Sanders has that potential. All right. Gabe Davis, week 16, New England defense. What we've seen over the last few weeks, you don't want to play New England's defense, certainly. But depending on what you have, it might be, and again, it's you get New England, which New England would be mostly facing or focusing on Diggs. But then you also get look up Buffalo Bills schedule, because I believe the last game of the season tonight, Falcons. So that's where you're mostly getting them. I agree. I don't know necessarily that I would play them against New England, but you definitely would want to play them against Atlanta. Atlanta's a great matchup for wide receivers. Who do we play week 16? 2 wide receivers, 1 running back, and 1 flex. Deontay, Cooper, Gallup, St. Brown, Parker, Jacobs, Ronald Jones, Penny, Sony, Pollard. Thanks. 1 running back, I'm going Ronald Jones. Yeah, okay. So 1 running back, I'm going Ronald Jones. Flex, I'm going Josh Jacobs. And then 2 wide receivers, I'm going to go Deontay, and I'm going to stick with Amon St. Brown, especially if this is PPR. Smokey the Cat asked, if this is standard, I might go Parker depending on if Waddle is a bit. If Waddle plays, then I would not go Parker, but if Waddle sits, then I would go Parker over St. Brown. But that's Deontay, man. What a disappointment. That was his first disappointment of the year. Yeah, hopefully he'll bounce back though. What up, Pete Kid, our guy over there at Windy City Breeze? He's in the championship, but he's light on wide receiver. Ooh, Godwin down. That's sorry to hear that, man. We'll get you a waiver wire guy. We'll get you a waiver wire plug and play, flex play. Yeah, wide receivers. That's the fortunate thing. When a wide receiver goes down, there's a lot more options for you to fill in than certainly if a running back goes down for you at this point in time. Let's see. Definitely picked up Henry. That's a good one. There you go. You got a tight end. There you go. Trying to see. Sleek saying thanks. No problem, Sleek. Appreciate you for jumping in. And then do a 420. My IDP dynasty depends on Cooper Kupp plus 7.24 is greater than Terry McLaurin and Jonathan Allen. Oh, okay. I think you're going to get this. Cooper Kupp, especially, I'm presuming this is a PPR for you. Do it 420, especially if you're doing an IDP in general. People do PPR with that. So I do think that you have a good chance. Again, Terry McLaurin, backup quarterback, throwing him the ball. Generally, hasn't been getting over 5 or 6 targets in a game. When they do give him over that much, though, he usually pops off. But again, he has been struggling as of late because the quarterback situation there. So you don't like it. It's going to be tight. Yeah, it will be. But yeah, especially half PPR. I think you do pull it out, though. I do think you pull it out. I think Cooper Kupp continues to be that dominant wide receiver. All right. Well, that does it. Just made it through all the questions. Once again, I want to say thank you to everybody who tuned into the show. Asked me all the questions. Appreciate you all. Good luck tonight. If you still have some matchups and you're still hoping to get in the playoffs, best of luck. We really hope you get it. We hope you get those Tuesday night miracles. We hope you get the Tuesday night miracles, can lead you back, and you can get into the playoffs. If not, we'll still be around, so you can hit that subscribe. We'll still be playing daily DFS and doing some watch parties throughout the rest of the season and into the playoffs. So make sure you're continuing to stick around. You're hitting that subscribe button. You're hitting that thumbs up if you haven't already yet. But again, make sure you're sticking around, hitting that sub, because we're just going to stick around. We're not going anywhere. So hopefully you don't either. Oh, our guy, Gus, coming in with the super chat. So first off, before I answer this, before I pop Bob, got to hit you with the woo! Let's go. Appreciate that super chat, Gus. Asking, would you drop Lockett to keep Van Jeff? I also have Justin Jefferson. Need to drop 2 to keep Ronald Jones and Hunt, and I'm ready to drop. And I'm already dropping Prater. Would I drop Lockett to keep Van Jefferson? Let me hold on. I'm going to look at Seattle's schedule real quick. Because if you're not, they play the Lions next. Oh, we got the Bears and the Lions are the next 2 games for the Seahawks. Yeah, I would drop Lockett. I'll drop Lockett. You know why? Because 2 reasons. He could go off against the Lions. He could. Maybe the Bears. He could potentially do something against the Bears. But do we trust it? No. What have we also seen? Tyler Lockett, very boomer bust. So if you're going with Van Jefferson tonight, I'd rather have Van Jefferson. He's on a better offense. They're moving the ball better. He's getting more targets on a more consistent basis. I understand there's OBJ there. There's Cooper Kupp. But again, Van Jefferson taking that fantasy role per se of Robert Woods, who has been in a wide receiver too. And sure, Lockett could have one of those mega ball stays, but that would be a gamble that I would be willing to risk. I would rather have maybe somebody else picks him up, hoping for that, boom week. And in most cases, what have we seen? He doesn't boom, he busts. So I don't mind that at all. But again, yeah, Ronald Hunt, he's saying drop Hunt. That would be his. I don't know that I would drop Hunt over Lockett, to be honest with you. What's the latest on Kareem Hunt here? I know that he wasn't used much. Let's see. Just dive into Kareem Hunt here really quick and see what the latest is on Kareem Hunt because that could be a better option for you. What am I doing? Where's my player news here? Where's my player news? What a sleeper. All right. Hold on. I simply like doing I never like giving up a running back. So okay. So he's activated off of the COVID-19 but he didn't play much, right? 20% of snaps, not a high amount of he didn't play any snaps against the Raiders. 20%, 38% in the last 2 weeks. Gets Green Bay and Pittsburgh. Oh, yeah, no. This is why. No. I would not drop Hunt because you've got week 17 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers, if you drop Hunt, I am more confident that Hunt will have a great game against Pittsburgh than I am with Tyler Lockett having a good game in the next 2 weeks coming back for Seattle. So that's why I would not. And you've got Green Bay week 16. Again, we'll keep monitoring what his status is. But yeah, so Hunt was on the COVID list. So you might be able to even move him and use him in that COVID spot and not even use up a roster spot. But I would keep Hunt over Lockett. That might be a huge mistake, but that would be what I would personally do. Just because I could find wide receivers every single week on waivers. It's really hard to find a running back, and then you're getting a running back with a great matchup in the championship week if you make it. So that's where I would go. All right. Appreciate all the questions. Appreciate the super chat. That was a lot of fun. That was a good time. Appreciate you guys for stopping by here, checking out the video. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. Give it a blue thumbs up. We're trying to get this to 50 likes. We greatly appreciate it. All right, Whisper Nation, let me know what you get tonight on waivers. We'll see you tomorrow, Whisper Nation. For the boys here, Fantasy Whispers, I'm Johnny Game Time Hicks. Take it easy, Whisper Nation. Good luck on waivers tonight. Peace.
Right here.
Look at you go. You made it to the end of another one of our videos. Hey, if you still have some questions, I totally understand. Or you just want to join an awesome fantasy football community, head on over to our Discord chat. Link is in the description below. And if you're still not sold on us, check out one of these videos.